change the world, go home and love your family. This famous quote from St. Teresa of Calcutta, aka Mother Teresa, seems like an oversimplification for such an immense task. But the more that I've embraced the vocation of motherhood and of making a home, the more I've realized just how true this quote can be. So about 2 years ago, my husband and I made a decision that changed the course of our lives. We decided to sell our dream home and farm. This property was the one we had dreamed up for years and we had worked so hard to afford. On the surface, it was a decision we made to alter the financial projection of our family, basically to move to a smaller, less expensive home so that we could free up more money to invest. This was a practical move that would bring more security to our family as entrepreneurs. But what I didn't expect was just how much this move would change my heart. It would change the view of what I saw to be success, and it would change really how I saw the world and my place in it. So you see, this move and the subsequent life shift was never in my plan. In my 20s, I was very passionate about having a career, so much so that after just a few years in the working world, I left to work for myself. Now, coming from a family of entrepreneurs, this was not out of the norm, but it was still a major risk, but it was one that paid off. So I worked very, very hard, and within 2 years of putting in my 2 weeks for my corporate job, my husband was able to do the same. He came home and was able to be with our growing family full time. And this was truly one of the greatest blessings to come from this whole journey. And it's the reason, hands down, that I have absolutely no regrets. But there I was in my 20s with a growing family, and I found myself as the sole provider of our family. And I enjoy hard work, so this was not a challenge that I shied away from, and I actually felt so much pride and gained so much satisfaction from this role, really, and my job. My business was doing great, our family life was great. If you had asked me then, I would have said that I would have never changed a thing. But then my kids started to get a little older. They were no longer just little babies in the carrier along for the ride on my work from home day. And I was home with them, yes, which was very intentional and quite literally the reason I left the 9-to-5 world all those years ago, because I didn't want to be in the position of having to ever put my kids in daycare. I just felt very passionate about that personally. So I put myself in a position to be home when that time would come. And while I was there, I was living out that goal or that dream. I wasn't fully present. There was this constant tug between being fully present with my beautiful children and being fully present in my business. And since the business was our bread and butter, it was how we made our money, it was how we paid our bills, the business usually won out. And I was always kind of stuck in this hard mindset, like almost between a rock and a hard place, because my business was what allowed us to be home as a family full time. So how on earth could I ever let that fall apart? You know, I didn't see a different way. I didn't see another path out of that. It just felt like that was the only option, and it just had to continue on in order to keep living this life that I had worked so hard for and that we had dreamed so much about. Being a mom and taking care of my family is one of the biggest blessings in my life, but all the moms out there know that it is no easy feat, and it is absolutely essential for me to take care of myself in all of the little ways so that I can continue showing up for my family and taking care of them as best that I can. There are a lot of little things I do to take care of myself on a daily basis, like working out, getting up before my kids, prioritizing sleep, and taking quality supplements. And one of my most favorite supplements, you guys know, that I take pretty much daily is Element. Element is my personal choice when it comes to an electrolyte drink mix. There are a lot out there, but Element is great because it has no additives, no fillers, no colorings, nothing artificial, and it also contains no sugar. But it does contain the sodium, potassium, and magnesium, aka key electrolytes that your body needs. Electrolytes are so key for so many different functions in the body, like blood glucose control, blood pressure control, energy production, DNA repair, muscle synthesis, transmission of nerve signals, just to name a few. And the thing with electrolytes is they need to constantly be replenished, especially if you are working out and sweating, or just now in the summertime, we're all outside more. I'm pulling weeds, sweating in my garden, I'm on the beach with my kids, I'm just playing outside with my kids, and we're all sweating because it's hot, and that means you are losing electrolytes even faster, and it is so important to be replenishing them. And I just love that Element is so easy because you just add it to your water. They have a bunch of different flavors. They all taste so good, but again, they don't contain any sugar or artificial ingredients. I just feel more properly hydrated whenever I'm drinking Element, and I feel mentally more sharper. I feel like I have more energy. It's just something that I don't skip out on. My husband loves them too. He drinks them every day as well. We are just big fans of Element around here. So if you guys want to check out Element for yourself, you can get an 8-count sample pack of their most popular flavors with any purchase. Just go to drinkelement.com/Becca Bristow so you can find your favorite flavor or share with a friend. That's drinklmnt.com/Becca Bristow. But then my business started to shift, and God started closing doors in my business when I was not quite ready for it. So the anxiety started creeping in. The responsibility on my shoulders felt heavier than it had before. I was always preoccupied with work, and truly my identity was so wrapped up in my job and being an entrepreneur that this really shook me. But this, no, I didn't know this at the time, but this is where the beauty really started to unfold. So we had very much just been following what culture tells us to do, which is work hard, then buy stuff. We bought our dream home at the top of our budget. It was expensive, not just financially, but also with our time. The hustle basically that, we needed to do to be in the position to buy that home had to continue in order to keep it. There was no slowing down in sight. And I just really started to question, both of us, my husband and I, started to question, how much money do we really need? Is this big dream home worth me being anxious and fearful and not present with my kids, even when I'm with them? And I just think it's so common in our culture to exchange time with our children for time to work and make money. It's almost automatic to do that. And of course, listen, you have to pay your bills. That's a fact you cannot get around. But God has really put me in a position to start thinking deeply about what the world tells us we need. We operate under this basic assumption that more money is going to equal an improved quality of life. And to a point that this can be true, but the problem with wanting to make more money is that the desire never ends. And I can tell you from personal experience, the benchmark always gets pushed, and you always wonder what you could do with more. It just doesn't ever fully satisfy. God also opened my eyes to another fact, which is my role as a mother. It's irreplaceable. The more I consider the trade that I was making, more work for more money, for less time and less mothering of my kids, the more obvious it became to me that my priorities were simply out of whack. And I really feared slowing down in my career, but the reality is that work will technically always be there. It's not going anywhere. But these priceless years with my children will not. So I decided to lay it all down. Well, most of it, because I'm obviously still here on YouTube. And it has been the best decision. And of course it was, because it's what God had for me. But I approached this decision with so much fear and trepidation and feelings of failure. But God truly has gently led me through it all. And I have never felt peace like this, and I have never felt so much satisfaction in my life. And our culture doesn't value children, and especially does not value trading career aspirations for family ones. But I have learned that for me, there is no better job in the world than being a wife and a mom. There is so much value and worth in creating a home environment that serves and fulfills your family. There is so much value in raising up the next generation. And there's selfishly, there's so much value in being fully present to enjoy this precious time of raising kids, especially little kids, with this one life we're given. We have one shot to do it. And again, culture doesn't really value children. They tell us that they're a burden and it's so hard and it's so difficult. And it is hard and difficult, but it's also beautiful and filled with joy, and it forces you to grow into a much better person. And there's so much fruit and good things and positivity that comes from it too. And here's the thing, I still work. I have not completely abandoned all career aspirations and all work in my daily life. This has not been an all or nothing thing for me. However, it has been a major shift towards putting my family and my role as a mom, my role as running our household first. my family truly comes first now, whereas work always came first before. So that is a major shift for me personally. And they get the best of me now. They don't get the mom who tried to rush through her work all, the first half of the day to just get it done. And now I'm exhausted and running on fumes, and they want to read books and I can barely keep my eyes open. And now I'm supposed to, be teaching them about life and taking care of this house and all these big tasks that felt so immense before. And they are big tasks, but it's really because I was putting almost all of my energy into my work outside the home. And I have just learned to scale back on that. And we have reorganized our life. We reorganized the way that we approach making money, so that, I was able to pull back. And it's just truly been such a gift. And I love my work. I love, doing what I do here on YouTube. But this shift has been one that has been so necessary for me and for my family. And I just do not regret it at all. And this story is obviously deeply personal, but it's one that I've been called to share because I know so many families are grappling with this same decision. And if you are finding yourself in that position, I hope that this brings you some encouragement. For us, it started really with that gut-wrenching decision to sell our home and buy a home less than half the size that needed a ton of work. It was a major change, but it was one that was necessary to lead the life that we really wanted to live when we got clear on what truly mattered. And, if you have a similar desire on your heart, but you don't know how to make it happen, I encourage you just to pray and ask God for help, because as we know, nothing is impossible for him. And I will tell you that choosing a life of less has truly given us so much more. And I thank God every day for leading me to say no to what doesn't fulfill so I could say yes to more of what does. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for hearing my story. I know so many of you watching this have been along, like in real time, along on this journey. You watched me start my business. You watched us buy the dream farm. You watched us sell the dream farm. You watched us buy this fixer-upper and slowly make it into our home. And you've just been present with me every step of the way. And now you can kind of see more of like the real truth behind it all and all of my thoughts behind it all. And whether you're stumbling upon this video for the first time and you have no idea who I am and you haven't seen any of that, I thank you for being here too. And I hope that you will stick around as I continue on this journey. And I pray that wherever you find yourself in life, I pray that you will feel God's peace, that you will feel and ask for his strength, and that you will laugh without fear of the future.